Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Mysticons, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hey, y'all.
And Beatriz Mourad.
Hello.
Today we are talking episode 38 of Mysticons' Eternal Starshine of the Mage's Mind, that aired this weekend on Nicktoons, the third to last episode of Mysticons. Are in the home stretch here, so find all of our Mysticons podcasts at overlyanimated.com or on our YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. We were very excited last week to talk about The Princess and the Pirate. We had a great podcast on that. Make sure you check that out. But we are getting into Eternal Starshine of the Mage's Mind. Make sure you've seen this episode. Spoilers for this and all previous episodes of Mysticons. A lot of people asking where you can find the episodes. If the safest place would be like Amazon, iTunes, and Google Play, you have to pay for them, but that's where you'd be guaranteed to find them. Anyway, let's get into this episode. Delaney, what did you think of Eternal Starshine of the Mage's Mind?
I didn't realize this was the episode I needed, because, all along it's kind of been like, why are you like this, Proxima? Like, calm down. Like, you're so dramatic. But then you go back and you rewatch everything from her perspective. And obviously, like, it's not that the show's, like, necessarily always from the Mysticons' perspective, but it was really nice to go back and kind of revisit. And then, like Zarya said, like, the saddest story ever. And, like, this was good. Like, because it always felt like there was something missing and not really, we all kind of were like Arcane, and we're like, get over it, Proxima, you're fine. And then it's not fine. And it was great to see Arcana kind of come to terms with everything that had happened. Also, Proxima's back. This is so good. Like, Proxima's great, and I'm really excited that she's back on the good side. Though, Antasma's free, which is fun, I guess. I was so sad. Like, I was like, this can't be real. But then I was like, she's good, and then she wasn't. And I was like, gosh darn it, Tasma. Why can't just, it just hurts deep in my soul. I was like, I'm like, Tasma, I just want to shake her and be like, come on. Granted, also seeing her bully Proxima, it was like, Tasma, you're just the worst. But overall, I just really liked the episode. I felt like it was something we really needed, like this kind of like, explanation of really where Proxima was coming from. Like, we saw it happen, but it's just different to kind of get it all at once.
Yeah.
And then, of course, God, Tasma is just the most evil person. Like,
Aww.
I love her. But she's evil.
Yeah. She's evil. Okay. Well, we have our Tasma expert Beatriz here, so I'm glad she's on this one. Beatriz, what did you think of this episode and of Tasma?
I mean, it kind of. The more I learn about Tasma, the more I learn about myself. Because
I'm concerned.
Because it's like, of course, the one that I like immediately gravitate towards is the one that turns out to be the mean girl. Like, what does that say about me in terms of like what I'm attracted to?
Dylan's favorite character is Chloe on Ladybug, so like you might just have a type.
That's what I mean. The more I learn about Tasma, the more I learn about my type.
Maybe you're just a masochist. Like, that could just be
okay.
It.
We're not going there. We're okay. We're not. That's no. But I again, this is in terms of just the main plot and then the side plot and everything. They both echo each other like nicely, and there's like this wonderful synergy and parallels between them. And this to me is like what I've been missing from Mysticons lately. These are the episodes I love. These are the episodes that for me is Mysticons firing in all cylinders. This is them giving us great character development, great plot moving forward. Like, we're not just on a standstill. Like, things happen and things like they actually have consequences. It's not things happen, but then they fly off into the sunset in their pirate ship. It's like, no, things happen. And we're going to continue with it. And I'm like, awesome, great. And it just flowed really well. I saw they balanced all the characters really well. I mean, yeah, sure. Like, it focused on Proxima, focused on Arcana, it focused on Malveron and Tasma, but all the other characters had good lines, had like, at least like there was one moment where like they stand out. So for me, I just like, this is what was most interesting. And I'm surprised that Proxima turned, that she turned back. I was sure, would I have preferred her, like the whole thing to have been less quick, had it been more spread out, maybe taken one of those filler episodes and made it like a two-parter? Yes. But given the time constraints, they pull it off really well. And yeah, I agree. We were on Arcana's side. We were like, come on, Proxima. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, but like Proxima, like you still like, come on, like you can't turn bad. And then they, in terms of emotional journey, this like we were with Arcana and then we followed it very closely and connected with her emotional journey throughout the episode, which is not the easiest thing to do because usually like even though Arcana is the main character, I don't think she's the fan favorite. So the fact that we were so quick to be on her side and we're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, like we went from being like, Proxima, like you went bad, that's unacceptable, and being very idealistic to like being like, oh, sympathetic. That's a very complex achievement that they've done in this episode. And to me, this is for me one of, again, the seasons where they start, where they end, like the blocks of episodes. It's a little, for me, I still am a little slightly confused by, but in terms of like this batch after this hiatus that came up, like this is for me the best episode of them. Like, this is to me like, oh, this is what Mysticons is. Like if I tell someone like this is the episode you have to watch for Mysticons, this is one of the ones I would show them, which is everything is kind of working, and I was just very pleased.
Nice. Yeah, I think you would probably say it's the best episode of season 3, which would be hard to say where that is in the airing order. But I mean, I certainly think Princess and the Pirate last week is bad. I think that's the best episode of the show. But this is a phenomenal episode. I really agree with that. And this is just some of like the highest level storytelling that the show has done, and completely agree with Delaney that this was like sorely needed. I didn't, when I was thinking of the things I wanted the show to do in the last batch of episodes, I didn't consider that this episode would help so much, because we've been kind of hard on the Proxima plotline and Proxima in general, just as a character. And this episode really just justifies a lot of the things the show spent a lot of time on earlier in the run, and it really brings it together in a way that is very satisfying and that really works for her as a character. I think this is like maybe the most pivotal Mysticons episode ever in terms of like tying the entire show together. Because I think without this episode, a lot of the Proxima, just all the villain stuff from the season, all of the Proxima stuff we did in season 2, the sisters twist, like I feel like it was really missing something, and this brings it all together in a really neat way where we literally go through all the steps from the seasons, and we see how they relate to Proxima as a character. It's a super essential episode in getting us to a place where this concluding that plotline basically, like, and I do think we're basically done with I mean, Proxima is good now. I think that's kind of a surprise, and it brings us to a point where this character is a lot in a much better place heading into whatever we're doing in the last episode. So it's just really good. Some of the flashbacks we get, especially early on, are phenomenal. And then we go through scenes from the show, and those, even though I think there's probably like a solid, I don't know, 1 to 2 minutes of animation just from earlier in the show, kind of clip show style, it's just used to really great effect, and it's really powerful in telling the story of Proxima from her perspective, and getting us more towards her side from Arcana's perspective. I still think there's some flaws in like, there's a disconnect, I feel like, between the writing of the show, which presents us as Proxima chose to put on the mask, and then the way it's presented in the animation, which is that the mask kind of forced itself on her. And I still think there's a little bit of that happening, which had been confusing.
Yeah, it was a little confusing because it kind of looks like she pushes it on her face, but then it also looks like it just flew to her face.
Yeah, I still don't agree that she chose to put on the mask. I think she chose to keep it and not throw it into the rift. So that's something. But we didn't even see that moment really in this episode. So there's still a little bit of that. It doesn't completely get there. But the scene of her, like we see her putting on the mask. All of that's really phenomenal.
And we've gone to like previously, not in this episode, about Proxima. She doesn't want the mask. Like she took it off and all of that. And so it is. Yeah, I don't know about that. She chose evil. Though I guess she chose to stay evil.
Yeah, this episode didn't really convince me that Proxima chose evil, even if that was, and I think part of it is getting us away from that notion, whereas, like, she was, pushed to that point.
Right.
But I don't think it was, like, a decision. Like, I think that's the problem, is that it's not like, oh, was she instigated or did she choose it herself? Neither, like, the mask, seems, like, I still don't blame Proxima for anything that happened when the mask was on her, because it seems to just be mind control. So we didn't get past that hurdle, but it almost doesn't matter because the motivations up until that point are so cleanly presented, and it's really just some high level storytelling.
Well, it's easy to see how she had come to a point where it was easy for the mask to influence her.
Yeah. I think if we presented it more like that, it might have been better. But yeah, we can interpret that for ourselves at least.
I don't know, but I don't think like, okay, when she was able to take off, whenever her eyes aren't completely white, she still seems to be, sure, she's being influenced by the mask, but she still seems to be somewhat in control of what she does. Sure, it's like kind of like, being inebriated or something. It's like she's drunk, I guess, on dark magic, but it's like.
Yeah. The show.
So it's kind of like, like if a drunk driver kills someone in a car accident because they decided to get on behind the wheel when they're drunk, it's like they still killed someone. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, I wouldn't so easily be like, oh, from the very beginning, she was 100% not responsible. What I like about this is that there is a distinction between responsibility and sympathy. That's what I like. I don't like. Or at least like if we from now on completely go like, oh, she didn't do anything, like nothing's her fault. Like I wouldn't buy that. I want her to feel.
Well, it's her fault that Mallory has the mask now because she didn't destroy it back in whenever.
So I need some accountability. I wouldn't 100% say like, oh, like she was completely like brainwashed and she didn't do any of this. Like I wouldn't buy that.
Yeah, the show itself is presenting their distinction between Proxima in this episode in the beginning, where she's completely under the influence of the mask. Like, I think that's pretty clear. And as opposed to before the last few episodes, when there's the struggle with the mask, and then it glued itself to her face or whatever. Before that, yeah, the show I think is trying to present her as being in control to a certain extent. I just don't understand.
Well, I think it's very confusing because, like, we know the mask has its own power. Like, we know the mask can control you. So I think it is like I do not necessarily being drunk, but this idea of like she let the mask influence her, and she was kind of like she wanted the power, she wanted the revenge because of everything that happened to her. But then because Proxima is good, she is a good person, that it was beginning to take its toll on her.
Yeah.
Because she just wanted revenge. The mask wants to destroy the realm. And she's like, no, right. I just want to get back at Arcana. And then I think it is like, granted, it is difficult. And I think it is confusing the way it's been presented. Because really we were just getting like, we knew Proxima, which it was presented in the beginning, that Proxima wanted, like, she took the mask and she became, like, she did what she did. But then we have seen her struggle with the mask. She doesn't want it. She wants it to go away. And then it glues itself to her face. So I do think, like, I don't know, it's confusing, but I do think, like, she definitely had some agency. Like, she has the mask. She did what she did with the mask on. And then she also chose to take the mask off.
Yeah, it's clear after the last 3 episodes or 3 or 4, that there's a distinction between the way Proxima was in the beginning of this episode, where has no control, and how she was previously, right. Where the show is trying to present it as her having some control over or some agency previously. Right. I still don't think that was presented very well, but like that is
it's confusing. And the thing is, we still don't understand like the mask. Like, is the mask Necropha? Did the mask corrupt Necropha? Like, we're still not really sure. Like, we just know the mask is evil, but we don't understand anything else besides that.
Yeah, you'd think that'd be the next step. Yeah. But it's I don't, even so, it's like, to what extent is a person in control? And that's such a complex topic. Like, when they're being like subversively influenced by this evil thing, to what extent are they still culpable for what's happening? I mean, that's like really complex, and the show didn't even attempt to get remotely there. I feel like, I mean, maybe this episode to a certain extent is getting into that, but it's more just like the mindset that led to the mask in the first place. Like, I feel like it's kind of telling that we flash through a bunch of episodes here, but we never get beyond the first episode of season 3, The Mask.
Right.
Like it's almost like, what was the point of everything past that? Like,
Right.
like, this is all focused on everything up to the point where she puts on the mask, and like and that's the important part, and like explaining that is key. And so I think that's like really good that we tie all of that part together. What I don't think this ties together is season 3. But it does help a lot with the overall storytelling the show's been trying to do. And I will say the Tasma and Doug and Malveron plotline was also very good. Another good Doug episode.
Even though he was speaking in a British accent the
I
entire
thought that was
time.
great. Yeah, that was very
Oh,
Doug.
that was great, but it was like, why are you doing this?
I thought for a good chunk it was a different voice actor, and they just couldn't, like, for some reason they couldn't get the original Doug voice actor for whatever the reason, so they needed someone else, so they just gave him an accent. But then finally at the end, I know, but like for a second I was just like, why do you sound so different? And then why is, again, it's just making different voices is like
some
kind
people
of foreign to me,
some people seem confused by the Doug voice. Doug was doing a British accent because he was having a tea party with Tasma in the beginning.
Yeah, and it was funny, and then he just kept
doing it
it
because he's a nonsense person. So he kept doing it. Yeah, which I think fits his character very well.
Yes.
And by the way, the end of this episode, Mallory putting on the mask, I'm so excited for this. This was I was complaining a few episodes ago that Mallory didn't get to put on the mask, so it's very satisfying that she is. I'm the biggest Mallory stan, so this is.
I think you're the only Mallory stan.
I think I might be this is the character. Like, I don't think anyone else is standing this character, so I think that this is specifically satisfying for me. But I'm so ready for final boss Mallory.
See, here's the thing, Dylan. You're attracted to Regina George, and I'm attracted to like Karen and Gretchen. Because for me,
I don't know. What about the Tasma thing we were talking about earlier?
That's what I mean. Like Tasma, like there's still hope that she could be redeemed. Like with Mallory, like I don't see her turning good at all.
I could see her as Gretchen, yeah. But yeah, Mallory's
Regina George, absolutely.
And it's great.
So we just have to hit her with the bus. Okay.
Obviously, I also stand Regina George, and yeah, it's no hitting Mallory with a bus.
Do I, because it's Rachel McAdams. So obviously, I'm going to stand Regina George.
But yeah, Mallory is it's so the Spectral hand just got a lot more fierce. Like, oh my god, what so incredible.
I'm just ready for like the selfies.
You say it in like the proper accent, so it's like. The Spectral, what is it? The Spectral mask just got a lot more fierce.
Got a lot more fierce.
You gotta do the growl at the end, the fierce.
Fierce, yeah. Oh my god, it's great.
It's
I mean, we really been complaining that the Vexicons feel inconsequential and that we thought that the show would move on from them when it got to the end game. And it seems like that's not true. Seems like
it's like no. I think I really do like this though. Is that because like so we understand what drove. That's really what's beautiful about this episode, and something we don't necessarily explore in media a lot. Like someone's evil just because they're evil, but we got to explore like what drove Proxima to make the decisions that she made, and like when you're that hurt and that broken, and you don't feel like anyone loves you, that's the point you get to. And then now we also have to deal with like the consequences of what she's done. She made them. She's the reason the mask isn't destroyed. And so I'm really excited because this is something we don't generally get to do. Like Zuko turned good in Avatar, and that was awesome. But we didn't necessarily deal with like the consequences of that because there weren't like other than like between the characters.
Like this would be like had we actually explored Azula's character, had we actually done that. And what I appreciate about like the interesting kind of situation we're in with Proxima, it's like, yeah, and she look at the Vexicons. Like they're copies of the Mysticons. Like she created them because she was lonely, because she still wanted to be part of that. So there's all the psychological stuff behind like just the very creation of them.
And she loves them.
Yeah, they're like her sisters. They're what she wanted. They just happen to be, evil. But
so I could see the other Vexicons turning on Mallory.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll talk
depending
about that.
on what horrible thing Mallory does.
No, Mallory will do good as ruler of supplant Gwaine, be a better ruler. That's what's happening. But Azula is the Vexicons confirmed. That's what I got from that. Also, when Delaney was talking about that, I had like a sharp objects flashback to a little bit ago. It's like it's not just the evil person; it's like the people that they evilly like influence, and that's also a huge consequence. I'll be vague about that, but yeah, that's that. I feel like that related to that in my head.
Are you saying that there's a character in Sharp Objects that I'm like gonna very quickly gravitate towards?
I mean, Maybe. I don't want to say anything because spoilers, but yeah, okay. So let's, they end this episode with Mallory, and I feel like the big plot advancement we have here is Proxima she was our big bad this season, and she is back on our side, and they forgive each other. Arcana and Proxima, they say they're sorry, and they hug. Were you feeling it, Delaney?
I was feeling it. Honestly, well, the whole time, like, as someone who was severely bullied the entire time they were growing up, I was like, I could have been evil like Proxima. I really felt for Proxima's character. I really did. And, and all along I have, because, I mean, it's hard not to, like, feel bad for her. She's an orphan, finds out she's a princess, then finds out it's all a lie. And then I do. I mean, and Arcana and, they've all been through so much. And it was really nice to kind of go through this, like, Arcana, like, generally what we do with Arcana is, like, make Arcana realize she's wrong. So that's always nice. And so, like, I really did feel it. And when they were like, and then when Arcana, like, pushed Proxima out of the way and got hit, I was like, I live for this stuff. Like, this is what I'm about. Like,
yeah.
It's good stuff.
Very dramatic. Do you buy that Proxima would forgive Arcana right when the mask came off there? I
think so, yes. Like, I think her, like, saving her was part of it. Yeah. And then I do think Proxima, like, as hurt as she was, like, she understands, too, that what she did was wrong also. And so, which I think Proxima's understood all along, was that what she was doing wasn't right either.
Yeah.
And so it's really, like, I'm excited to see where we go after this, because we just really get the forgiveness right at the end. But, they're going to have a talk, I hope. And it's just really, like, I really liked it. I thought it was really sweet. And then Arcana, like, touches her face, and I'm like, oh, so good. I'm about it. Yeah, and I think Mallory's like something about her sister, and then shoots at her, and then she says, "Glad to have you back, sis." Like, going back, immediately calling her sister again, welcoming her back to the sisterhood. Proxima Fifth Mysticon, is that what's happening now? Yes.
Tasma will be the 6th.
Okay.
She'll get there.
She'll get there.
I feel like we went away from that this episode.
You'll get there. It's like Doug said, give her time. She'll get there.
Yeah. Give her time, unfortunately, beyond the show. But Tasma Redemption in the comics. Yes.
Yes. And if not the comics, in my fanfic.
Okay, in the fanfic. Gotcha. Beatriz, were you feeling Proxima turning back at the end here?
Yeah, and that's what I meant when I said emotional journey. In terms of, sure, maybe there's some plot consistencies, questions about, like, confusion about agency, but in terms of just the emotional stuff, not only with Arcana, but also with Proxima, you kind of, even just with, just imagine that thought of waking up and then you see the person, someone you deeply care about, like, in front of you hurt, and clearly there's, like, a fight happening in front of you. What do you think? So, I mean, I think they were very smart to have that happen, to have her sacrifice herself, and then Proxima just kind of wake up and be like, oh my God. Like, and I think this is something that she's probably thought about and she's feared about. This is a scenario where she's like, what if I wake up and then this happens? Like, in terms of those moments where she was, like, regretting her decision and thinking, oh God, like, what are the actual consequences of my actions and what could happen, or say one encounter almost went that way. This is showing, like, okay, she has thought about this. This is, like, I think, for me, her turning back, it's had we had time to focus more on her, this wouldn't be as kind of like a 180, but it doesn't feel that way because of all those gaps that were filled in. Like, it makes sense that she's probably thought about this, and she's probably been like, she's probably been wanting to turn back. We've seen her regret, we've seen her doubt. So, in terms of her, her immediately gravitating back towards that, it's like, yeah. And you also have to think about, like, if someone's been in darkness for so long, you're finally given a little bit of hope, you're gonna latch onto it. It's gonna be an immediate kind of thing. It's not gonna be, oh, I'm gonna doubt this. It's like, no, you're gonna jump straight toward that kind of chance, that light. So, yeah.
That's deep. Yeah.
It's a deep day for me. I don't know why. It's like, it's from Tasma to this. Like, I'm learning so much about myself.
Yeah. I agree that it makes sense that I think there's enough there with her doubting and her like trying to resist the mask before, and also there's so much like love built up before she put on the mask that I think it makes sense that she would jump back to them right away, and it's a great moment, and I think it's like well built up, and it puts us in an exciting position where Tasma back helping out, and now the Vexicons, the consequence of her still out there, and Mallory there with the mask. We'll maybe speculate more on that later. But let's talk about some of these. Most of the episode we spent in Proxima's. I don't know if I said Tasman said Proxima before. Proxima's mind, where we go through memories, both new and previously from the show. And we get some immediate ones with her in Miss Sparklebottom's. We're excited.
They're so cute. They're babies.
We're excited to see Miss Sparklebottom again.
No, I was just excited to see them as babies.
Yeah. Toddler Zarya again, actual toddler Zarya this time, and
so cute.
Proxima. I think this was the best scene of the episode and one of the best scenes that we've seen in the show recently. I like this is like so cathartic, like actually like having answers to all this switching nonsense from earlier in the show, because it never really got like we vaguely heard a line about Sparklebottom like switch them, but like seeing it is so much more powerful here and answers so many more of our questions. Like it's not the month nonsense that we speculated on. It's like literally she just switched them in this moment. But my favorite thing in the episode is Zarya is a little howler, and,
so cute,
and she's doing her wolf howl.
It's so good. My favorite part is when they leave and Proxima just falls over.
Yeah, and you just stay on her for like a beat.
It's so good.
Proxima with the quill in the beginning. My quill.
Quill.
Really powerful thing I noticed on subsequent rewatches is the scene in an end of 26 that they show with Zarya and Arcana being like, we're gonna have sister diaries. I'll get you your own quill. And like that connection, like Proxima being left out of that sister quill thing and seeing her like quill's always been a thing associated with her. And earlier in the show, we even saw her writing her, her diary with her own quill. Like I thought that was really powerful. But yeah, the scene with the little two of them, and then Novateron comes in, visiting for the twin star day. He is a Foz balloon. What do we think about that? I thought that was
so
great.
Cute.
Yeah. And then we see Sparklebottom switch the two of them to prevent the prophecy. So also Piper's like, oh man, did I time travel again? Which is great. I don't know. I love this scene. This is like,
it's so cute.
It's incredible. And then the next scene also is incredible. We see, Kid Proxima being pranked by Kid Tasma in the Astromancer
So
Academy.
mean. They're so mean. It's not pranked. She bullied her. Just straight up bullied her.
Proxima star fail. Yeah. And then we get the sequence. No wonder Proxima was pushed over the edge, says M, and Arcana says Proxima wasn't pushed. She chose to put on the mask. She chose evil. Kind of an encapsulation of the theme we're really trying to hit on here in this episode with Arcana going from that notion to understanding why this happened. The kind of action we get in the episode are these manifestations of the mask inside Proxima's head, the creepers, the shadowy figures that we get, and I think there's some decently cool action sequences with them. Just kind of instigates them jumping from memory to memory. Then we go through a bunch of episodes from the show, and we see we see parts of the show we saw, and then also we see like them watching parts of the episode too. First we start in episode 14 where M scarred Proxima, and then we get
and M still feels bad about it.
Yeah, M still feels bad about it. They're like bad mouthing Proxima in episode 20. They trick her with Chaco, Ars Arcana in episode 21. Later, then there's a little bit. Then later we jump back, and they when they're fused together in 22, and she talks about how Arcana got her mom and she didn't. Then we see Proxima's reaction to the twin reveal in 25, and then Proxima running off, and Arcana and Zarya at the end of 26, like I said. Arcana in that scene is like, Proxima, I had no idea I was so terrible to you. And then in 27, Arcana trying to talk to her when they're underwater. I think it is powerful seeing all these together. Delaney, because we were kind of complaining before that it's like Proxima hadn't given sufficient motivation to turn evil. Like, does this tie it together for you? Is there any element still of like, I think something was still like maybe missing? Like, it still doesn't seem that severe. Is there any part of that?
No, I mean, honestly, like watching, and also my personal connection to also having been treated badly growing up, and to watch, like, I really think, like, seeing, like, she's in the orphanage, to being bullied at the academy, to, like, to remember, like, because the thing is, when you watch it the first time, and you're like, I'm on the Mysticon side, like, we watch it as Mysticons, and you watch it, and you're like, ugh, Proxima, she's so obnoxious, like, I hate her, or whatever, and, you know, and the Mysticons, they say, you know, kind of rude things because they're obnoxious teenagers. And to watch it, like, from Proxima's point of view, and to watch it also knowing everything that happens. And this is also after the Mysticons have each grown up individually. Like, they have grown as people, and they interact differently, and they're all a little softer around the edges. And to watch it again, and then from their, like, from Proxima's point of view, I really do think it puts a lot of stuff into perspective. And as much as a clip show sometimes feels unsatisfying as a result, this really had a point to it, and I really think it was done very well. And it was something Arcana and Zarya, they all needed to see it to really feel what had happened, and especially since Proxima couldn't tell them and that kind of thing. So I think it really did tie it all together in a really beautiful way. And also, this isn't a story that we explore that often. Like, we don't generally, like, aside from something kind of superficial, you don't really explore what some things the heroes do that impact other people, sometimes in a negative way. Like, sometimes you'll get something like in the Avengers, where there's an actual physical consequence for something the hero does, and how it impacts other people, and then how sometimes it turns people evil, it turns people mad, it turns people, like, crazy because something horrible has happened and they don't know how to deal with it. But in this case, just to see kind of the personal, like, how what they did really hurt Proxima, just in the way that they acted towards her, even though later they tried to make up for it.
Yeah, nice. And I think like I also had that reaction, even though I was very much on the side of like there wasn't enough motivation for Proxima. Like, after this episode, you're like, okay, I can see it, and I think that's maybe like the takeaway that they want the audience to have after you. Like,
it makes sense now. Like, and as much as it's, you know, it would have been better to see it coming, it is. I mean, it's different. I think it is a good way to show, like, how perspectives are important, especially in this show, because we're all, like, we always think the girls are right, and a lot of times they're not, which we have dealt with that a lot in the show, and I think that's something good too, is like, they are still kids and they make mistakes. Yeah.
I think the ultimate consequence is the experience of watching the show is like, oh, Proxima, why? Like, it doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? Oh, okay, Proxima's evil. And then when you get to this episode, you're like, okay, this, like, really works now. Right. And so I think it is a powerful, like,
it's one of those things you need hindsight for.
Right. Which I think is like a frustrating thing watching most of the episodes this season, right. But it does end up being a really powerful device on perspectives, because we hold the Mysticons' perspective for so long, and then this episode is so good that it really reverses that to a large extent. So I think it is like, it just makes it that much more powerful in this episode when we get to it.
Right, and I don't necessarily think it was like a weakness on the show's part before. It was just one of those, like, when we're bound by one perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weakness would be in how it manifested in Proxima as a villain, and like the things we did with that. But that's, you know, like maybe.
Well, things also happened very fast. She became the villain, and then she made the Vexicons.
Yeah,
and Proxima kind of slid into the background a little bit, kind of just as like the Vexicons'
that is
mom.
True. Yeah. At least then the Vexicons are paying off here towards the end. It looks like. So yeah, I can see that. Okay. Yeah, Beatriz, what do you agree with this? That you get a different impression here. Do you think that does this change how you looked at it before? Do you think you were wrong how you looked at it before?
Again, I think. I don't think I was wrong. Again, I think because it's for me, the question of like agency and all that is what comes into mind. But it makes Proxima more sympathetic, right? And it kind of confirmed to me certain things I thought about in terms of like her background and why she did the things she did. So it's kind of this. It's a very, I think you used the word cathartic earlier, and that's what it is. It was a very cathartic experience of just like, okay, now this all makes sense. All right, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just comes together well here. What about the notion of this as a clip show? Because really I think there's kind of close to 2 minutes, or I don't know, maybe that's too high of things that we saw previously. I think it certainly works to the effect that they're going for. When you're watching it, Delaney, did you think oh, is this a clip show, or were you oh, it's cool what they're doing here?
Well, I think, in the beginning, it's oh, they're, it was a different, it wasn't something we'd seen before.
Right, they started with original memories, right. Then they go to, yeah.
Right. And then at first, I think it was more in the middle when I was it's a clip show. But, I don't think it was done, it's not a clip show in the way that The Legend of Korra had their clip show. But, I still liked it, and I think it was done very well, especially kind of the different ways, an Arcana was just kind of flashing through it. And they did have a purpose, they were looking for something. And then, there was just a lot of emotional weight to it all, and I think it worked well. But I think it was in the middle is when I was it's a clip show. Because at first it was just it was a new memory, and then I guess it just took a little bit before, because how they were interacting with the memories kind of started to change.
Yeah, they really sequenced it well with the new memories first, then they had a new memory within the old memories, right. Is what we'll get to, and then they end with the new memory too. But I think the reason why, even though I've been praising the episode so much, it's maybe one notch down from a top tier episode. I think I have it one outside of my top tier right now, is just because there's parts in the middle where especially in the episode 20 clip where we just hold on that for 20 seconds of it didn't seem necessary to show so much from that episode. And I wonder if it was a budgetary constraint thing. If it was, they masked it incredibly well, that this was they needed to save money here by doing some sort of thing. That's why Korra did their Remembrances episode, is because they didn't have enough money to do another original episode like that. But Foley's, they had some stuff in there, but yeah, I don't know. It is a little we have shots of our characters in the old shots, and that's good, but there also are decently large sequences that are just the old episodes, and then we cut to our characters in the present reacting to that. Yeah, I don't know. Beatriz, was there any notion when you were watching of it being a clip show, or did it work completely?
I mean, I did think about it. I thought, okay, so this is where we get the refresher, right? But then part of me thinks, because, what's the purpose of a clip show? It's one, to refresh the memories of people who've been watching it, but isn't also part of the reason is for people who want to just catch up but haven't been watching the show, just to sit down and view it again? Not to view it again, but if they just want to catch the finale, but they don't want to binge the rest of the TV show, crazy in this age of binge watching. But isn't that what they were for? It's just for the newcomer to just play catch up for a second and then enjoy the final spurt of episodes. So I don't know if someone who has not seen Mysticons can watch this episode and be oh, I can completely understand what's going to happen in the next episode.
Yeah, I think that's what the previously ons are for. I don't think it's a catch up tool. Okay. It's more just a reminder, maybe. Yeah, I wonder if it was purposefully done as a tool used to get the audience on the same page with what's happening here. But I think it was or there's any sort of reason we needed to do it exactly this way. I mean, I think it's very powerful, seeing the shots and seeing them from Proxima's perspective, and then seeing our characters comment on them. I think there's just a little bit more of the old shots than you might have then were maybe necessary, or at least that was my perspective watching it. Then again,
totally.
I mean,
I agree.
We analyze it a lot though, so maybe we remember it more than other people. I don't know.
Maybe, but I mean, I do agree. If that's the definition of clip show, then this was definitely that. And what I appreciate is that they actually did something different. I don't think it was able to escape the categorization of it being a clip show. Okay, it's this is the episode where they're saving up for animation or whatever. We understand why they have to do it. Maybe not so much the viewer, but we understand why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's possible that
maybe not. But
yeah.
I mean,
and it should be noted. If I would not say this is a clip show episode. At max, it's 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And that's not enough to call it a clip show. It's just one of the things. It's just a tool that we're using to tell the story for whatever reason. Yeah. But yeah, regardless, I still think it's very powerful using that. And then in the middle of that, we cut to this montage of Proxima studying every magic tome in the academy. Yeah. I believe this is the first show I've ever seen that has a montage of a character reading books. And I have to say,
Quality.
this is like my favorite thing ever. Like this is such an important part of Proxima that she's this magic nerd. And so in the Proxima Psyche episode, we have a montage of her reading. Like, that's awesome. I think that, and not that it's like riveting television, but I feel like this is so good for her character. Yeah. Delaney, what do you think?
Like the book, I mean, it's so good. Like, it's quality for, just because it's Proxima, and then also, like, it's so funny watching Arcana, like, look over her shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. It's amazing. And, like, you have, like, the text of the books and, like, the stupid gibberish language that they read or whatever. And, I thought it was really good. It's really funny. And, like, you know, we always like the bookworm characters, so it was just funny. Like, oh, we have to find the spell that she read that one time.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times we have like, oh, this character's smart, and then we never show them like being smart at all, or doing like, but like here, this is the nerd guy, and like she's like studying for like a solid like 30 seconds of the episode. Like, that's fantastic. Yeah. Beatriz, do you like that sequence?
I did. I kind of wanted them to have like a little bit more fun with it. Like, I wanted like the music to be really super dramatic. Like, I wanted them to be like, this is Proxima reading books. Like, I needed it to be just like, I don't know. I wanted it to be like, if we're going to have like this crazy montage, like kind of like the training montage of like a boxing movie, like if we're going to have it, like I wanted them to be like, don't just have it be like, okay, like make it a big deal. Like, yeah, she's reading books and it's like a big blah. Like, that's all like Proxima lives for. But beside that, like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that could have been fun with like super dramatic music, but it might have been a little much. But
it probably again, my tastes are pretty like extreme.
Yeah. Okay, another last original scene we have, or there's two more. The memory of Proxima putting on the mask, which I think was nice to see, and it, like speaking to her, and then it seems like it kind of forces on her face, and yeah, I think that's a cool one. And then we have the climax of the episode in the library from earlier this season, where the like mask is making her destroy the spell. By the way, I think it is kind of confusing, the setup to this episode, because it's like you need the spell to go inside her mind, and you're going inside her mind to retrieve the spell, but we're not purposely going inside her mind. That's just like we're supposed to extract it from her mind. And then like there's a memory of her reading a spell in the thing, and then like Arcana says that in her mind, and that casting that like gets the mask off of her. Like, I got it, but it like wasn't. I actually don't know if I fully got it on first view. I feel like it took me second, third viewing to fully get the context at the beginning of this episode presented. I can imagine that might be a little confusing for kids, but that's fine. that's fine. And they're fighting the masked dudes in the memory, and then they get the spell, and then they like get there's this like really like striking like purple like shot of them like getting expunged from Proxima's mind, and then the mask comes off. That was an interesting visual. And,
yeah, no, it was just like purple, just like
yeah. And then the end of the episode, which we talked about. But yeah, let's talk about the B plot of the Vexcons going to the Mysticons stronghold, which I guess they just know where it is now because that's the consequence.
They keep breaking in there all the time.
Yeah, I guess they did break in there already. So they're like, oh, we know about that. Why don't you relocate? Then,
yeah, or like figure out. They're like, they'll be here any minute. Like, there should be a solution to this problem.
Just leave. Yeah.
Go somewhere else.
We talked about Doug doing the British accents, and I loved his tea time with Tasma in the beginning. He's like, indubitably, and also him doing the Churchill speech, I think was very good. And then he's like fighting with potions, F everyone. Good use of Doug, I would say.
Yes.
I'm doing parody Winston Churchill speeches in a British accent. Okay, good. And then, they free Tasma to help. By the way, Tasma says it's magic hour. What do we think?
I know. I kind of freaked out when that happened. I was like, come on now, make her Mysticon. Come on. That was just there to tease me. They were like, we know you want to hear it once, so we're just going to give it to you.
I know. That was like, it made it more brutal when she turns. But this episode, I believe, has the highest per capita of magic hours in any episode because there are 3 of them in this episode. Arcana says it twice at the beginning and the end, and then Tasma has one too. So I'm glad we're really embracing the magic hour here. But yeah, and then how about these nicknames by Malveron for the Vexcons? Frosty, the Imp, She-Rock, and Roller Cat.
Roller Cat.
She-Rock.
I think She-Rock's the best one.
It is pretty
She-Rock.
good.
Also, the She-Ra reboot coming out, so it's relevant. But yeah, Tasma, tricked Malvron, and then Malvron gives this like emotional speech. "I'll never give up on you," he says to Tasma. And were you feeling it?
I mean, like, here's the thing though, because like that he said that like after we just gone through, I don't know, it was concluded, but it was like we had just gone through this emotional journey with Arcana being like, oh, like it's not just like it's more than just simply a choice they make. It's also there are some external factors. So when he said, "I won't give up on you," not only was I feeling it, but I was also thinking like, what external factors also help sway Tasma to be who she is? So, and then there was this really interesting point, like at the end, where like Doug goes like, she's so lucky to have you as a brother, and then he's kind of, and Malvern goes like, yeah, but then he gets hugged, and we don't follow through with that. So I'm like, what's there? There's something there. Like I need another version of this episode, but having Tasma be the center, and I need to learn about her past and understand why she made the decisions she made. But yeah. To answer your question, yeah, I was feeling it.
Yeah, I think this is a good, like, really good Tasma moment. All of this and the Malveron, like, responding to her like that. That being said, I don't think this, like, solves the Tasma thing in a way that this episode solves for Proxima.
Oh, it's not supposed to. But to
right,
me, what it does hints at something. I'm like, ooh, I
like
need
something,
that
something
version.
more
like,
to come. Yeah.
Yeah, like I need a version of what this episode did for Proxima for Tasma. Because I'm like, ooh, there is something there that can be explored.
Yeah, it invites that sort of episode that you want to come, and I assume it will not like happen in the finale episodes. And I think given that, I don't think Tasma really gets there as a character overall. Even though like we like her, I don't think like it I mean, ends up being particularly strong.
It's not like her story is kind of like it's one of, I think that's one of the ones where it's like we just are not going to have time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll see if Tasma factors into any part of last episode. So, and then I think that's it. Then we talked about the Proxima, and then Mallory putting on the mask at the end, more fierce. So, yes, very exciting heading into next week's episode. Fear of the Spectral Hand is the second to last episode. The Mysticons turn to an ally to take down the Vexicons.
Proxima, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Guesses on the ally. Also,
maybe
another version of the description had unexpected ally. So any
interesting.
Tasma.
Okay, Tasma.
Unexpected.
Does Proxima
she
count as unexpected?
No, I mean she's kind of expected.
Well, she's already there. Any other guesses?
Maybe like Antiaga. Maybe.
Okay,
I mean, but I don't know if that's unexpected. She's just kind of not been there. The bikers.
Oh, okay.
Kimra. Okay.
Kimra. Yeah, her and her gang.
Yeah.
Or the centaurs. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know if the centaurs are
or maybe the dragons.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of options here. We'll see. We'll see in the last two episodes of Mysticons. By the way, if you are waiting to the US premieres, make sure that you stay off of like Wikia and Wikipedia and stuff, because these have aired in the United Kingdom. So watch out for spoilers.
Oh, they've already aired
in the UK. But
some people know how this show ends.
Yes, I for disclosure, I have seen them, so I will not comment on the speculation.
Okay.
I couldn't help myself. I will not comment on the ally here, but still very excited to get into the last two episodes here. And Delaney, any final thoughts on Eternal Starshine of the Mage's Mind?
I just really enjoyed it, and I'm glad Proxima's back.
Yeah, Proxima. Beatriz?
Don't worry, Tasma. I'll give you your Tasmademption.
Okay, Beatriz will write the Tasmademption in the fanfic. That's in our hearts, we got the Tasmademption, even if not in the episode. It's a kind of powerful contrast with Proxima getting the Proxidemption, right? To the Tasma not sad. Okay, let us know what you thought of the episode on overlyanimated.com. If you're watching on YouTube, at youtube.com/overlyanimated, you can leave your comments on the episode there. And make sure you subscribe to us on our YouTube to not miss future Mysticons podcasts. Come to our Discord to talk about Mysticons. Very excited with finale discussion there on our Discord. No spoilers allowed on our Discord for the UK episode, so don't worry about that there. Find that at overlyanimated.com/Discord, and support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Katrin, aka Patron, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. Check out other podcasts at overlyanimated.com. Biggest thing is coming up tomorrow is the huge Adventure Time series finale, among other things happening at overlyanimated.com. Find all of that there, and we'll be back next week to talk the second last episode of Mysticons. So see you guys then. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.